Good now?
Yeah, they're hidden.
All right.
Are we good? Excellent. Well, folks, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. My apologies if you couldn't understand Tim. If you don't, you're sure as heck not going to be able to understand me. But hopefully we can get through that. So, yeah, thank you very much for the invitation today. It's an honor and a pleasure to be speaking in front of you. And it's just a great opportunity for us to really share with you a bit of an update on what I've been working on with a lot of other people over the last 12 months in my new role on the Integrated Eligibility Enrollment program. Now, I think it's important for me to talk about, as I talk about what we're going to be talking here, is it's really important to talk about things that I am just as much as things that I am not. And to that end, we do have some of my colleagues here who've got the knowledge that I don't have. So if there are some questions at the end, I may well refer to them. But hopefully we can have some fun. And so again, with the invitation, with the introduction, I should say, my role, I've been the program director for the Eligibility program at the state of Vermont for the past 12 months. Prior to that, I was the organizational change management practitioner for MMIS projects at the state. So I was really focused on people and thinking of change and thinking about what can we do to make sure that the projects that we're launching and implementing are going to be successful. And really thinking about people, and really that is in essence what I have used in my new role in the last 12 months, the IE program, because we've got a bit of history. We've had some challenges. And the thing is why am I here today? And why should you listen to me? So over the past 12 months, I've been sending out a lot of updates. Hands up if you've been receiving updates from me over the last 12 months. That's awesome. Glad to see that. Thank you very much. If you haven't, you can take your phone and scan the QR code that's on the screen, and at some point we can make sure we can get that to you as well. You're able to see that communication. You can sign up for the email list. That's actually something you can get updates from our HIE program, MMIS, and IE. Wonderful technology. I hope that does work. But what I'm here today to talk about is to speak a little bit more, give you some backstory to those updates that I've been sending out the last 12 months. But also, I think to give you a little bit more of the backstory, a bit more of the narrative, and sort of talk through what is our history of our procurement, particularly with IE and EO over the last several years. What are we doing today, and what's different? And I'll cut to the chase because we do have this really awesome project, VTIES. I'm quite proud of that name because it rhymes. But we do have a project and we do have an RFP that we will be releasing. We're planning to release, I'm choosing that word cautiously, but our goal is to release an RFP with our federal departments for their review on Friday. So I'm here to talk about that as to what is coming. So some things I might be able to answer, some things I might just say, wait for the RFP, we'll see when that gets out. But I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the objectives, the timeline, what's our approach to that procurement, and I think more importantly, what VTIES is just as important as what is in mind. So hopefully that's what I can share with you today. So when I think about Vermont's procurement, right, we just talk about the let's talk about what's we've been thinking in terms of the challenges that we've had. Vermont's procurement history over the last 10 to 15 years has been varied, and the success therein has also been varied as well. We have had several procurement attempts, some of which have been successful, and some of which have not been as successful. And what I've learned, I think, over even the last couple of days, just here at ISM, is some of the challenges or some of the reasons for those that Vermont has had related to natural disasters, changing goals, administration, leadership, our governor, even just within the agency, across agencies as well, within Agency of Human Services or our technology partners, Agency of Digital Services. These are not unique. I think every state is challenged by this, as well as the federal regulations and guidelines that we are trying to comply with when it comes to CMS and FNS. I mean, we have had, I think, even with some of these challenges, we have had some success. But really, over the past 10 years, particularly, even 15, I would say, is really the source for our modernization efforts. It's really been founded in legislation, in security, keeping it together, our legacy system. What I laughed when I was listening this morning to Wyoming and Virginia, and they said their aging legacy system from the 90s, and we're dealing with one that is almost older than me. So, and they talk about aging legacy system that they have. So really, we have truly been focused on, and I can use this reference, MacGyver and duct tape to keep things together. And I think that we are getting to a point that we are shifting to a new chapter. So what's that all about? Well, our procurement today, the risks haven't changed. Our aging legacy systems still remain. The challenges with those still remain. They haven't changed. The only thing that has is we've all got a little bit older. The challenges are, I think, a little bit more evident and a little bit more pressing. So we are still having an enrollment experience for Vermonters that is cumbersome and challenging and not user-friendly. The enrollment process is incredibly manual, and we, like every other state, are challenged with resources, with the staff, with people retiring. We've got a workforce that we're trying to provide, and we want them to have a user-friendly and efficient experience when they do their work. But we do have limited staff. The people that have the knowledge base to actually update the legacy systems, they are leaving. We need to be able to evolve in a way that actually allows us to introduce a sort of a modernized solution that has automation that can actually leverage best practices as well. But what else has changed? Aside from the fact that the risks are the same, right? But what has changed, I think, over the last several years, and also we're finally here today, is that we do have a sort of revitalized community within Vermont from the Agency of Human Services and our technology partners, the Agency of Research Services. We have a renewed commitment from our legislative partner, from the government. Just even within our business program, across the businesses that we're representing, healthcare, economic services. We've been very fortunate that we've had support from a procurement system advisor that has actually helped us understand some of the things that are available, some of the shortfalls of our current system, and how we can make moves going forward. And I also think that something that has dawned on me recently is that I also think that the customer experience has changed. Maybe this is an outcome of COVID in terms of having on-demand, being able to have things online, but I also really do think that over the last 5 years, that customer expectation of that experience where we are going online, filling out information, having information carried over to the next screen, predictive information, that AI the customer experience or the online experience, the online customer user experience has certainly evolved. So really our focus now is we recognize we're still going to be focused on duct tape and the kind of approach of keeping the legacy system put together. We still need to respond to legislative directives and compliance issues from our federal partners. But we really are making a significant shift, I think, in the last 12 months to be really focused on that customer experience. And I think that hopefully is what I'm trying to convey to you today, is that is something that's a little bit different. We really are focusing on the customer. Plus, Vermont was dealt with me for 12 months, that's changed. So hopefully that's hopefully putting us in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, things in Vermont take time. There's a reason for that. If you ever come up in the spring, this is the roads. This is actually the roads in Vermont in the spring. We recognize things take time, and sometimes we get stuck. And we will continue to take time, and we will continue to get stuck. We will continue to have challenges, and we will continue to have changes in leadership, and continue to have changes in legislative priorities. And that is no different to every other bloody state in this country, in my opinion. I really think that that's what I'm learning more and more by going to these sessions, engaging with other states. We had a really great session this morning with Tamika from DC. And I'm seeing you right there. So it's great to see you here. Thank you so much. I'm going to be chatting with you because similar populations, similar challenges, and really in organizational change management, which is my background. I'm all about people, but I don't know much about technical stuff. it's recognizing a lot of this comes back to awareness, it's communication, it's identifying what we're trying to do differently, making sure people are aware of that. And that's why I'm here today, because as I think about the people that we're serving in terms of Vermonters with the system that we're trying to develop and launch, is recognizing that an important stakeholder is all of you in this room today, which is why I've been really focused on this outreach effort over the last 12 months. Fully telling you this is where I'm at, what am I missing, what questions do you have, let me know. Here's an update. I hope that you're not sick of my updates, because they will continue to come, because I believe wholeheartedly in full transparency in these efforts and with what Vermont is doing. So as we think about what are we working towards, again, this is the overview. We do have this all online. This is the outreach that I sent to you, the update, and it is available for you to look at. I just need to call out some of the highlights. So what are we searching for? We are searching for, instead of me telling you all the things that are broken, I'll just cut to the chase. This is what we want. It would be nice, right? We do want to simplify and streamline that application process for our Vermonters. We want it to be efficient. We want to reduce the complexities and Vermonters from having to submit multiple information multiple times. We want to carry over from screen to screen. We want to have seamless access to benefits. We want to make sure that our Vermonter citizen can actually get the information that they need. They can get the health and economic services that they need without having to jump through hoops and run around and go to different areas. And of course, we recognize that really critical stakeholders, not just our Vermonters, our staff. I mean, they are Vermonters as well, but we recognize that they are a really critical stakeholder in this effort. We want to make sure that they are not having to jump through hoops to do their job. We have vacancies on every state. We need to make sure that people that are working for us, who are committed to the cause, have got all the tools necessary for them to do their job effectively and efficiently. And we really want to make sure that those processes are effortless. So as we think about these kind of things, just as I mentioned before, I actually don't think that what we're asking for is unique. I don't believe that what I've just shared to you should be a surprise. I don't think that we are the first state in this country that has just shared with you some information that you're now going, writing in your phones or on your notepads, like, shit, think of that. That's a great idea. We should put that into an IES. That would be awesome. Garth is a genius. No, I am not. I refuse to believe that I am the smartest guy in the room. I just think that what we've identified when we started to really think about what we're looking for in an IES for the state of Vermont is something that you are already working on, that you've already delivered because you've delivered to other states. It's in DC, it's in Kentucky, it's in Mississippi, New Mexico. Because I just don't believe that we're unique, even when it comes to cell service, which we don't have great cell service. I know that there are states in this country that also don't have cell service. What is unique is these two photos, actually. These are, that's the viewpoint, the top right. Or top left, actually, I'm thinking backwards. I live just outside of Stowe. That is the viewpoint. My first 13 years of living in this country, I was working at a ski resort, that very ski resort. For the 5 years of my time, I actually rode a chairlift to get to my job. And the top left is a restaurant. I had an amazing view from my office. Granted, it was colder than hell, but that was my view. That was my commute. So some things certainly are unique. We do wait for springtime. We have muddy roads. We have crappy cell service, but we have some most amazing and pristine lakes and trees and mountains, and it's absolutely amazing. Last week, I had 5 deer in my backyard as I was working from home. I sent it to my colleague, my deputy, who's here, ends up, Eddie, where are you? You were here, right over there. And Eddie, I had 5 deer in my backyard. His response was, can I work from your house so I can shoot them? So, open invitations. So something's pretty unique, but I do believe that what we're asking for is not. It's actually pretty straightforward. So to that end, what are the objectives? And Tim, you have to let me know if I'm behind on time, please. I need to hurry up and keep going. So what we are looking for Vermonters, again, I don't think that these are going to be all that crazy compared to what we have shared previously and what we've done in other states. And that's what we are really looking for. Again, focusing from these three key areas, Vermonters, state staff, and I also think that our IES is part of that stakeholder group. Like everyone, we are looking for an anonymous pre-screening calculator. That's the web-based portal that Vermonters can easily see what they can actually get access to. We want to simplify the benefit application process. We want to make sure that they can see all the different programs that they can apply for. For state staff, we want to make sure that we can allow them to support the Vermonters that can't use the portal, that they can't use the technology. Because last time I checked, we also have people that don't have access to technology. We have a population that didn't grow up with technology as well, that don't have access to that kind of information. We're not blind to the fact that we're just going to create this online portal and everything will be fantastic. There will be people that simply cannot use it. Our goal is to make sure that the overall system and process for our staff is really user-friendly and efficient, that they can actually spend time supporting the Vermonters that need the support. That's what we're going to do with the efficiencies that we get from this. We're not going to lay off the staff, no, because we've got vacancies that we fill. So we're going to make it so that our staff can actually be supporting other people that we are often here to support. We also, I love training. That's something that's really important to me. From a change management point of view, I also don't just want to launch a new IES, give it to the state workers that have been doing the same things for years and years and years. Nika, I'm looking at you. Right? Case workers that have done these manual workarounds for 20 years and just think that they'll be fine with doing something different. No, we need to have robust training. We need to make sure it's accessible. We need a learning management platform that can be accessible to them 24/7 whenever they need it. And we need to make sure it's updated so our staff can actually use the new solution and use it efficiently and effectively. And of course, for our IES, we want to make sure that we take information that's currently across two separate systems. One is an access mainframe, and the other one is our Vermont health banking system. We want to make sure all that gets into one location. So, shock horror, so we can have centralized data. So we can then actually do reporting and get a sense of, a full history, a holistic viewpoint of Vermonters. Again, this isn't surprising. This isn't unique. I'm not a genius. I realize that. Even though I tell my wife, no, I'm great, I'm doing amazing things at work. But I don't believe that what I'm asking for is something that you haven't seen. But the difference, I think, now is we recognize it's really what we're looking for. So our procurement approach really is to enhance customer experience. That's really what's driving us. That's what the point I'm trying to make. We recognize that our customers are our state workers, that customers are Vermonters. We are looking for a core IES platform that does include customer portal, case management, and also business rules engine functionality. And when we look at that as like a core system, we can also recognize that those three things can't exist without supporting infrastructure. We recognize that there's going to be some interfaces. There has to be financial management. There's going to be some correspondence to support implementation of the core IES. I think for the longest time, we were really sort of thinking like, where do we start? Do we start with a portal? Do we start with rules engine? What about case management? What about this? What about that? What's shiny? I don't know. Let's do this. But I think as we really thought about starting from the customer point of view, we really have to look holistically that we are looking at sort of this an IES, an integrated eligibility system that can actually deliver the outcomes that we're looking for, because those are what's going to drive our focus, is the outcomes. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But we also recognize with the challenges of trying to do this separately and one at a time. It takes time. Doing the RFP process, we know that's a 2-year plus cycle. So trying to make sure it all works together and I think part of that has been why we've been a little bit stuck in that muddy road, is where do we start and how do we do this in a way that makes sense? So we do recognize that we are ultimately looking for a single prime vendor that can deliver the solution, because I think they're recognizing we don't have unlimited resources that we can do this for an extended period of time. And we're looking to develop a really important collaborative relationship with someone in this room that whether it's directly, with without the use of sub-vendors as well. But we're looking for a solution that can actually, deliver those improved outcomes for our constituents. When it comes to implementation, I think this is a really important point that I want to make. Is at no point in our RFP that we'll be releasing, again, federal partners by the end of this week is the goal, is we have not prescribed an implementation approach. We have not prescribed that you have to do this service or this program first, or taking things off access, or then this other one. We recognize that each one in this room, with your solution, is we want to make sure that we can actually do this in a way that makes the most sense. And we will share with you, we want to collaborate with you, share with you our pain points and some of our priorities, but we only want to see from you and hear from you how your technology solution, how it can best be implemented to deliver phased, regular, improved outcomes over the next several years. So we can actually incrementally deliver improved outcomes. We're not going to wait till the very end and flip the switch and hope it works. But we want to make sure that we can actually work with you for a solution that the way that your technology works best and how it can align with our priorities as well. So we're not trying to prescribe a certain implementation plan. We want to hear from you. Why? Because again, you're smarter than me and you know how your solution works better than I do. And I think that's a really critical piece here. Now, we recognize, again, the considerations. We have a legacy system. There are constraints. There will be, interfaces and integration that need to happen. But we want to make sure that we can work with you on that. And that's something that will be a critical thing that we'll be looking at in the RFP response. But as I mentioned, we are looking for incremental, phased release of improved outcomes as well during the time. We want to make sure we can deliver value and show people what we're doing and that we are getting out of that money road. We are making progress. So we are looking for, that we can sort of minimize our risk for the implementation, but making sure that we can actually deliver that good outcomes. Oh, this is where Mike is going to get nervous when I talk about technical stuff. So we do have a technical vision. We do recognize that, our technical vision is to, like every state as well, is to have sort of seamless, configurable, interoperable, extensible, and maintainable systems. Yes, like every other one state, that's what we are looking forward to. No shop horror there. But we do want to let you know that we have also got this desire, like every other state, to leverage the previous investments that we've made. I can't imagine any state's going to walk in and say, you know what, we don't care the money we have spent previously. Bring us everything bright, shiny, and new, and let's just go crazy and go for it. We do have some previous investments that we want to leverage, and that's what we have here on the screen right now. We have Highland OnBase, Highland Content Composer, Salesforce, MuleSoft. You can see it on the screen in terms of what we're using them for, of course. We have Okta for single user identity access, and Verado for MPI. Now, we of course have other technologies as well, and you will be able to see what those ones are. But these are really some key investments that we have made that we want to leverage moving forward through interfacing with this solution. Okay. Now, of course, if there is something that you have got and you are feeling compelled to share us why your solution is so much faster or an alternative, there's an opportunity for you to let us know what that is. If you want to be upfront, and these are the 5. So you might be looking at this and you might be thinking about, what about some other ones? I didn't say other ones there. So if it's not on this list, these are currently not our 4 mandated technologies that we're looking at. We will need to be integrating the solution. I'm looking at Mike and Grant, and I'm hoping that I haven't said something terribly wrong here, but this is what we've got thus far. I'm wrapping up, Tim, in case you're getting nervous.
Tim wasn't, but I was.
Oh, good.
Only because I want to make sure you get questions.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. I'm getting close here. So, as I mentioned, I kind of cut the chase in terms of timeline. Vermont, what are we doing differently? I've heard this before. God, good luck. Our timeline is we are, as I mentioned, releasing our RFP for federal review. They will clearly have no questions for me. But we actually. We have actually accounted for in our timeline at least 2 rounds of federal questions. We have, just as I've been engaged with you in this room over the last 12 months, we continue to be incredibly engaged with our federal partners. They are a critical part of this. That's just what it is. It's challenging, but you know what? I think that they really are helping us guide our procurement approach to be successful. Our goal with that then, in terms of the schedule, is we're anticipating that all things go well, and there's potentially a couple of rounds of questions, which I'm sure that they will have, that we are looking to release the RFP in the new year. So definitely, I will be sure to keep you updated about that. And then once we do, I'll stop for a little bit as we go into the active procurement. Now, at the moment, we are looking at this. We've done a lot of RFIs, as I've shared with you. We've been outreaching them. So what do you think? What's missing? We're looking at a 3 to 4 year timeline. Of course, shorter is better, and we'll see what we can go with this. But of course, we do recognize, again, that phased delivery of improved outcomes is really important. And to that end, making sure that I can drive awareness with all the other stakeholders that I'm engaged with, so that we can also look at how can we share and talk about where we can first release some improved outcomes. That first release of functionality will be great within the first 6 to 12 months of PBI work. So maybe that is a portal, maybe that is something else, but then again, we're the experts. And I think beyond VTIs, as we talk about this procurement, I think it's, we recognize that the core vision of the integrated eligibility enrollment program in the state of Vermont is no different to anyone else, right? We do envision that Vermonters have an easy and simple way to apply for healthcare and also economic services. In terms of those benefits, we want to make sure that we can do that effectively and efficiently. And this project may deliver a good chunk of that, but it's going to be an ongoing evolution. It's an ongoing iteration and release of functionality. And beyond VTIs, there will be ongoing efforts, and that's also something we shared in the RFP. We recognize what it is just as important as things that it is not. And there will be additional capabilities that we'll be looking to add to this system down the line as well. But we recognize that we have to have a solution, because that's really been a huge part of my outreach, talking to our legislative partners and our legislature and our leadership, is that this is not one and done. This isn't something that once we bought the house, we don't have to fix it or paint it or change something out. This is going to be an ongoing commitment, because if we let it go like we sort of have, it's going to be really tough to maintain it down the line. Ultimately, we are really looking for a better approach for the markets and stuff. We recognize that that's going to require an ongoing commitment. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you so much for your continued transparency about what it is that you are doing in Vermont and what it is you want to achieve. I think that has been very helpful to the vendor community to make sure that we have a clear understanding of that. Don't run away. With that, I want to open it up for questions.
Awesome. Good day, Tim.
You mentioned on 2 or 3 occasions about limited resources and limited staff. What is you as your agency doing to fill those vacancies, or reading a prayer and rely on the vendors?
I think it's a little bit of both, actually. And I've heard other states have said, they've looked out to tap the shoulder of those who have recently